I'm not really sure where this started or how we got here, but I've been talking about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe a lot on this channel here lately. So I thought, why not I check out Masters of the Universe, the motion picture, the film that came out in 1987 with Dolph Lundgren. I remember seeing as a kid, that it was a terrible movie. So, being it's been several years since I've seen it, decades even, and I'm a grown man now, how about I revisit this movie and see, is it really that bad as I recall it being, and as bad as they all say it is? Wow. This movie is absolutely as bad as I remember it. Actually worse. I'm just going to do the rating right now. So this movie is straight up garbage. Yep. Yeah, this is loosely, and I mean loosely, based on the animated series He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. It is loosely based on the toy line from Mattel, and I don't even know if it's even loosely based on the DC comics of the same title. I have no idea. This movie is unbelievably bad. Now then, we have to remember that this was produced by the Cannon Group, who, they brought us classics like Over the Top, the American Ninja series, Delta Force, and a bunch of other just garbage straight to VHS at the time movies. They did do Breakin' though, so, and Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo, they had that going for them. So it's very impressive that they actually spent $22 million on making this garbage heap of a film. They only recouped $17 million back on it. So let's look at what's wrong with this movie. First off, it's done by the Cannon Group. We just discussed that. It was directed by somebody who we don't even care about, but it stars Dolph Lundgren. This is him coming off of Rocky IV, where he only said like 17 words in the entire movie, and I guess what he did was a Russian accent, even though he's actually Swedish and has a really thick accent for that. So somehow they saw that and were like, we're going to make him the lead of this film and make him talk a lot. The problem is, you can't understand him, and he had a contract, apparently, that said that he had the right to use his own voice when acting, because otherwise they were going to just dub it over, or have him apparently in post-production work on not having an accent and then overdub his own lines, which actually sounds even worse than what we got in this film. What we got is a dude mumbling a bunch of stuff. Now mind you, he had the long hair and he was tall, and he was actually, I think he was actually at his heaviest as far as his muscle mass and built. I believe he actually said in an interview that he was at the biggest he was. So, I mean, he looked like he could be He-Man, but you couldn't understand a single word that he said as He-Man. Also, they gave He-Man a sword like, he uses all the time in the animated series. He don't use the sword in this film. He uses a laser gun. Why is He-Man using a laser gun while holding his sword in his other hand? And also in this movie, we have Courtney Cox. This is like way before Friends. So this is her, I believe this is technically her first movie. Why she got more screen time than He-Man. Was Kevin Smith like a secret writer in this somewhere, where, you know, because he likes to do projects about He-Man without He-Man really being in them, so maybe he was like a ghost writer on this, I don't know. But yeah, Courtney Cox in the film, and she gets more screen time than He-Man, her character. Her and her boyfriend, played by some actor I don't really care about. We get to learn a lot about them. Oh, and how exactly do we learn a lot about them? Because the movie is called Masters of the Universe, and they choose to focus the entire film. I think the film is about 90 minutes, and then we have about 75 minutes of this movie is in California, in a small town. Why? Why? We don't care about small town California. We want to see the world of Eternia. We want to see Castle Grayskull. We want to see Snake Mountain. Instead, we get Eternia as like this desert landscape for a couple minutes. Then we get at the very end of the movie some really cheap sets of what is supposed to be Castle Grayskull or Skeletor's lair. I don't know what it is. It's speaking of Skeletor. Now, Frank, what's your name? Frank Lagella, whatever. I know you're a good actor, and I apologize for butchering your name, but I do know you're a good actor. But look, Frank, you were doing the best you could with what you had. And I'm talking about the script, the lines you had to read, and this horrible mask you had to wear, man. This dude is supposed to be a skeleton. Skeleton bones. This mask, it crinkles up and moves all over the place when he talks. It is so like just rubbery looking, and I mean, like you couldn't do like prosthetics on his face and like, I mean, CGI out his nose. I mean, I know this is 1987, but you know, Star Wars had been out. You know, Back to the Future had been out. Special effects did exist, and you know, I know Canon sucks at doing budgets, but $22 million, you could have made Skeletor look like a skeleton. And now, seeing this as an adult, I know exactly why the little kid me didn't like this movie, because I can imagine I went to go see this on the big screen. I'm going to see a live action He-Man and the Masters of the Universe film. And I want to get to see all my favorite characters. I mean, because look at all the characters they made. They made a lot of heroes and villains. They made a ton of them. Mattel was crazy about like dropping a new character like every Tuesday. It was like Master P and No Limit Records. And when every Tuesday you got a new album dropped on you. Mattel did that with He-Man, with the villains and the sets and the animals and all that stuff. They were just dropping merchandise like crazy. And with all this to choose from, we got these people. Who are these people? And who is this guy? I mean, what is his purpose? Because this is a dude that apparently made some keyboard looking, I don't even know how to describe this musical instrument that opens up portals. And allegedly the prop was brittle and a piece of junk, and that's because it was super old, because they had used it in other films, because the Canon group was like ghetto fabulously cheap when it came to doing movies, and they could cut a corner anywhere, they would just cut that corner. And here's the best part. Here's the best. This is the straight kick right in the nuts part of this movie, is they give us a mid-credit scene like a Marvel's movie, like a DC film, like every comic book movie does now. They give us a mid-credit scene of Skeletor raising up out of the water talking about "I'll be back." No, hold up. You trying to tell me that when they were filming this movie and they were watching the dailies, they really thought they had something so good and so magical that they were going to go ahead and plan for a sequel? Not only were they going to plan for a sequel, they started making a sequel before this chunk of garbage even came out. They had all the sets made, they had stuff ready to go. And then they found out the movie sucked. So, Canon being Canon with their cheap selves, they took all those sets and costumes and kept them and just used them for a whole other movie called Cyborg with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah, that was a Canon film as well. Oh, and this just in, apparently Kevin Smith's season 2 of his Trample Over He-Man special called Revelation, season 2 is coming out November 23rd on Netflix. So, let's see who else he kills.